Jess.
Hey, Aim. Nice to
Hi,
see
everyone.
you.
I know, nice to see you too,
So
always.
good to be here with everybody, too. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, we are Big
Big love
Love
hug.
Hug.
No, no.
Oh,
Wait,
shit.
no, I got this right. Okay, let's try one more time. One more time. Here we go. Don't try too hard. We're just big
Big
love
Love Hug.
hug. We are. We're just a
Big
big love
Love
hug.
Hug. Big
Yeah,
Love
that's
Hug.
it. That was the best one right there. We're just a big love hug. No big deal.
Not just a big love hug. We
We
are a
are a
big
big love hug. Yeah,
hug. Big
it's
love
true. Okay, there
hug.
we are. Here we are.
Yeah, hi. Hi.
Boy, it's a big time in the world.
Big time in the world, big topic for today.
Yeah. So why don't you introduce us, Aim? I feel like you
Us
got
or
that.
the topic?
The topic.
So, today we've decided that we're going to address our personal feelings and thoughts about the situation in Israel and Palestine right now. And this has been really challenging for us to prepare this podcast because it's a really challenging thing to talk about. And especially because neither of us feels all that. Well, speak for myself. I don't feel that knowledgeable about the situation because I have a very sensitive constitution and a lot of privilege, and the combination of those two has me avoiding most news for most of my life. I stay away from the news because uh, I- if there, for me, if I can't do something about a situation, I don't really want to think about it. If there's something I can do about a situation, then I'm involved. I'm happy to be involved. But just to take in negativity from the news, it just hurts me and hurts my body, and I just can't do it, or I choose not to do it. I'll say
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
privilege. I choose not to do it.
Yeah, I'm similar and similar in this that I feel like can take in as much news as it feels like I have hope that there's either something that can change or that I can be part of the change. But as soon as it starts feeling like I feel like I can't change it and it's hopeless, then I feel like I don't. It's not. It doesn't serve me because Amy and I both feel like we are carrying torch of hope in the world. That's kind of the role that we play, is helping, lighten the load and lift people up and kind of bolster people up so that they can make changes. And if I feel weighted down, then I feel like I'm not in service to people. And having said that, I feel like this is an important topic to touch on because it affects me personally on a personal level as a Jewish American. And my instinct is actually to want to disappear, to want to hide my Jewishness for the first time in my life, and hide under the covers around this. And as Amy and I were talking about this, thinking about what we want to talk about on the podcast, feeling like if I feel this way, if we both feel this way, that there are other people out there too, Jews and non-Jews, who feel like maybe they have some thoughts but don't feel comfortable sharing them. Or, if we give a voice to our feelings, hopefully giving permission to other people to also share their thoughts and feelings, because it's really intense. So that's kind of what we're up to today.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm also Jewish, and I have such a blend of pride of being Jewish. I mean, I really love that I'm Jewish, but I also have never been really involved with Jewish community. We've done Seders for years, so I keep it alive in myself. But I remember even in school, being young and not wanting to tell people I was Jewish. So I've had that hiding in me too for a long time. So both for me, both have been there
Was there
throughout.
anti-Semitism in your town growing up? Were you aware of that, or what was you not wanting to
I
be
mu
open about it?
I must have had some experiences. I think when I was really young, my best friend and next door neighbor somehow subtly put me down or put being Jewish down. And so I was probably like 3 or 4. And I think from a very young age, the person who I felt the closest to and the most connected to had put that down in me. So I think I learned really young uh, to suppress that or to not make it public because it was, you could get hurt if you made it public.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah,
For me, there was a pretty sizable Jewish population where I was growing up. It was lots of Jews and Italians.
me too.
And
Yeah. Mhm.
we both grew up on the East Coast. And for me, not wanting to associate with Judaism was not about anti Semitism. It was about, I associated Judaism with greed. I saw the way that people lived lavish lives, and the bat and bar mitzvahs when I was 13 were so lavish and so extravagant and over the top. And it was all about like, how much money did you get from your bar mitzvah? And just, I was like, peace out. This is not my religion. This is not. It was a rejection of that, not because it didn't feel safe, which is interesting. And I came to find my connection with Judaism out, later through college and studying, and then coming out here and me feeling more connected to the heart of it through our beautiful Seder's, where most of the people at the table were non-Jews, and it became everybody's favorite holiday because
Yeah.
we all come together and talk about peace and talk about being together as one and healing not only the hardship of the Jews, but of the world where slavery is not, slavery could be mental slavery, it could be physical slavery, and like rising above the idea of anybody less than what their potential is. And what a beautiful thing. So contrasting that with what's going on in Israel now is also confusing.
Right. Like thinking of Judaism as being so inclusive and so welcoming and so questioning and open. I mean, for
Right.
me, all the mensches, like the wise, the wisdom of Judaism is to question and be open and
And inviting
welcome.
people in
Yeah.
of other
Yeah.
cultures, of other religions.
Yeah.
And part of the Seder is you open the door and anyone you see invite into dinner, regardless of
Exactly.
who they
Door
are. Like,
stays open.
bring them in. Everyone belongs at the table.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's a little confusing.
It's all a little
and
confusing.
then and then there's this piece too. So when I was in college, I missed the entire Gulf War. I was in Costa Rica when it started, and I was in Costa Rica when it ended. So I missed it being in the United States. But while I was in Costa Rica, when I would ride the bus, people would know right away or ask me, because they could tell I was different by my dress. And as soon as I opened my mouth, obviously. And when they found out I'm from the United States, there was one of two reactions. One is people loved me because I was from the United States, and the other was they hated me and actually got spat on because they I was my government. I was my government's policies. I was George Bush, basically, during the Gulf War. And I had so much guilt because I'm just me, like I'm just little old me meing along. But I felt this tremendous guilt for being perceived as my government. And I
Yeah.
feel the same way now, where like I had, I have pride in being a Jew, of being part of a people who have been persecuted for so long and being tried to be wiped off the planet and ushered around and not really having a home anywhere. And yet we not only survived, but have thrived. And there's pride in that. And now I'm feeling like guilty and embarrassed because people perceive me as the Israeli government or Netanyahu or the oppressor, the persecutor. Where I've
Right.
never had that feeling before, except for that one time in Costa Rica when I got spat on. So it's really, it's hard. It's really hard to balance, like to feel okay knowing that it's not me, and needing to like tease it apart from myself, knowing that I might be perceived differently, but like finding a resting place in myself.
As you're talking, I'm just thinking about like people. Like if we just like look at the world and look at people, like most of us are in houses or whatever, villages and doing what we do, right? Like we're just kind of like people having lives. And then there's like just a couple of those people who are like in these powerful positions, making big decisions for all their people. But
Hmm.
how much do any of us really get to contribute to that? So now with this crisis, most of these people, we're all just kind of ripping our hair out, we're tearing our hearts out. It's like, what's going on? Genocide and bombing and murder and hostages and just blood and rubble, and it's just horrendous. But it's not the people who are doing it, it's governments who are doing it. And there's so many people who are suffering. And I just think that there's something fundamentally wrong with the power structures that we've come up with as humans, that we are so far from any kind of real democracy where the people actually are the ones making decisions. And what happens is that those who crave power seek power, rise up. Then you got like two of them going against each other. One might be a little bit better than the other, but whoever winds up in power, you have one person at the very top pressing buttons and dropping bombs and giving orders, and everybody else just doing their bidding. And my mom used to have this great theory that like world leaders just get in boxing rings with each other and have it out, just
With
like
each other, like leave
just
us out of
them.
it.
Yeah, just them. Like, but leave everybody else out of
Don't
it.
drag us
Like,
into
there,
this.
there'd be a lot less, yeah, a lot less death and murder and all this, wars. Like, what are we doing? We are acting like barbarians. We get out there with weapons and play this weird death game with each other en masse. Groups
Hmm.
of people, Russia and Ukraine right now, in the Gaza Strip, and historically and everywhere.
Right. It's never ending.
So anyway, so then it kind of brings us to this concept of like, I'll just say my thing about that. I believe I feel this split in humans of these internal subspecies that we each have of Homo barbarus, where we are like barbarians and we are connected to like violence and power and winning and greed and you know selfishness. And then homo spiritualis, I've talked about this before in the podcast, where we are connected to something higher, which is love based and community based and very giving and satisfying. And I just don't understand how so many of us are still choosing our inner barbarians over our more spiritual natures, and you don't have spiritual doesn't mean that you believe in anything, a god or anything like that. It just means that you are in a heart-centered being, living and coming from your heart. And it just really surprises me that as a global culture we have not yet transcended this, that we haven't gotten there yet, that we haven't risen to the place where we take care of each other more than we hurt each other. It's like the rare
Yeah.
story. They move us to tears when you like turn on the news and you hear something beautiful happening. That's the rare story, even though it's probably happening in
Well, I question that. Like, right. Is it a rare story or we just don't hear it because the news doesn't share that? Like, I
rare
feel like
news
there
story.
are acts of kindness that we don't know about. Like, what if we filled our minds, filled our feed? What if we consumed more kindness than barbarous?
Hmm.
Like what would that shift if our thinking changed to see all the ways that we're connected? Like I remember reading years ago, reading stories of Palestinian and Israeli women in quilting circles together and
Yes,
sharing food together.
there's
Like I
community.
remember that story, and it was one story I heard years ago, but what's happening everywhere? I mean, it's got to be on this
Yeah.
grassroots level, these people coming together to help one another. Is that happening? And where's that news?
Where's
Why
that
isn't
news?
that what we're seeing?
Right. Well, because there's this horrific thing that's happening with the people who are playing power games, we have to pay attention to that. But also, yes, like more of these communities rising. There are conscious communities that are fusing Israelis and Palestinians. I remember, yeah, same things, like seeing some documentary or something about it. And yeah, more of that. There must be, families that are interbred Israeli
I
Palestinian. There
hope
must be
so.
love across the lines. There must be, there always is.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But then here we are getting upset in America in our little comfortable homes. And what can we do? I always come back to that. It's like, what can I
Right.
do? Is there anything that I can do? We can have this podcast and we can continue to somehow generate like love in our internal worlds, in our families. We can look at the wars that we have inside ourselves. We can look at the wars that we create in our or that we are witnessing right here, little family wars or friend wars or whatever, neighbor wars. We can do our best to be facilitative with that. We can accept it, and step into it, name it.
So the other day, um, my husband and I were out, Jesse and I were out at the hot springs, and there was a fee, and it was cash only that day. And I was talking in the parking lot with a woman, and she said, "Well, shoot, I didn't bring any cash." So Jesse and I walked up, and we actually paid for her. She didn't know, but we paid for her, so when she came up, she could go on in. And then when she saw us, she's like, "Well, give me your Venmo, and I'll pay you back when we get into service." And I said, "No, I don't want you to pay me back. I want you to pay it forward." And I told Jesse, I was like, "This is how I'm dealing with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This is how I'm dealing with war. Is I can't affect that, but I can change this. Like a small act of kindness, and then asking her to pay it forward, so it has hopefully a ripple effect, so that we keep paying it forward and being kind to one another and seeing the humanity. If somebody's struggling, I mean, she didn't have $10, like it's not a big struggle, but like it's on a small scale.
The thing, yeah.
You're helping somebody that you see struggling, and then because somebody helped them, hopefully that they'll turn around and help another, and then another, and like that to me is the way that I can feel like I have some impact on what feels completely hopeless and helpless.
Yeah, yeah. The phrase like how can I help rises up out of that story for me. Like what if that was the place that we came from? It's just like if you feel resourced at all, if I feel resourced in a moment and I'm in a situation where somebody is suffering or struggling, how can I help? What can
Mm-hmm.
I bring? Just putting it out there, even if there's nothing to do, that's an act of kindness to say, I'm here as your neighbor, as your friend, as your whatever. Is there something I can do? I want you to know that I'm here.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be these huge, we can't stop the war, but we can insert ourselves in a way that is heart forward, that's
Mm-hmm.
heart first. Yeah,
Yeah. How can I be kind?
yeah, right.
That's all we can do.
Yeah, how can I help? How can I be kind? How can I hold what's happening? It's not always about fixing things, it's not always about like having the $10. Like if you didn't have the $10, you could have just cared about her, you could have had a nice interaction with her.
Right.
Who knows? Yeah, but so often if somebody's negative, if there's negativity, like that shit is viral. Like negativity can really catch. And I think that we have to, and that's why it's like no news, no news. Well, no news. Um, but if we can kind of guard ourselves through self-care, and not take in the negativity, and instead be able to bring something that's more full of love instead of just because what often happens if somebody's negative is we just meet them back with negativity in defense. It's like something comes in and that's what a war is. You're going to attack me, I'll attack you back. But what if like this happened and then this side came in like this?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just going to step in unarmed, disarmed. What if we're disarmed, which means vulnerable?
Yeah. Yeah.
Disarming. Can we disarm ourselves? Where can I be disarmed? I do it within my relationship in places where I feel stuck. Can I let go of some old thoughts or beliefs that I have about this relationship and step forward just a little bit, a little more vulnerable and disarmed, with my heart a little bit more open?
Yeah. What if we walked out the door and had interactions like this anywhere? I think
Yeah.
about that too, like in traffic. Like if somebody cuts me off, my response now is to smile and wave.
Yeah, I'm always like,
Like, hey,
sorry.
which is disarming because people don't expect that. They expect that reaction, like aggression with aggression.
Yes.
But if you change the game,
Yes.
and then sometimes the person just keeps scowling, and then it's kind of funny. Like they missed an opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, oh well,
But
I
at
feel
least
great.
you
I feel
didn't be
good over
there. Yes.
here.
Yeah. At least you didn't join them in their war.
Right,
That's a
right.
big thing to do. I cut this guy off once by accident, like sometimes you make a little driving mistake. And wow, I like have never felt like he like did something. I can't remember what he did, but like I don't know if he gave me the finger or like
Yeah,
was like yelling at me and I like saw him, but there was so much intense energy coming from him that I literally felt it go into my heart like a spike. And as soon as I felt it, I was like, that's what he's experiencing. Like he's
yes,
carrying that negativity in himself. And I had this compassion for him. Like my instinct, my reaction was to like either defend or like be like, "Well, fuck you too," or whatever. But but something really quick happened where I was like, that's his feeling that I'm feeling inside my body. And in this moment, I can have compassion for this being who's suffering, like
yeah,
he's
yeah,
suffering. And I didn't take it on and I didn't hold it. And it was like, it was just a big aha that when we get hurt by somebody, it's usually because they're hurting. If they're
yeah.
hurting you, it's because they're hurting. So again, can I be disarmed? Can I be open? Can I care about that other person instead of only attacking back or hiding?
Right.
Can I care?
I had this cool experience where I was being kind of verbally attacked, and instead of reacting or like reacting, either attacking back or pulling away, instead I was able to like take a breath and ask a question.
Uh-huh,
Like, it seems like you're angry. What did I say? Like, what did you hear me say?
right, right.
And then like the response was whatever. I was like, oh, that is not what I said.
Mhm.
Instead of like just to be able to disarm, to
Yeah,
show up and not have that strong reaction, but to show up with a question like, wow, what is going on over there?
yes.
Like you're really upset about something. I mean, I didn't use those words, but that's kind of how it transformed the interaction.
It's so great, Jess. It's a meta communication. It's like talking about the communication. Like, wow, I'm noticing something. It's kind of like a detached, you seem angry, or are you okay?
Yeah.
Just it's like getting out of that like relationship tangle. Like, is there another perspective? Like, oh, what's going on here? There's many kind of like kind of neutralizing comments that you could make. And
Hmm.
sometimes it feels like there's only one response that you could have. But even just saying, could we pause a minute? Or what's going on here? Like, what's really going on? Or how are you feeling?
I just had this vision of like why I was giggling. It was like, what if we take this back to war? Like attacking side attacks, and the other side says, "Whoa, wait a minute! What did you
What's
hear
going
me
on
just
for you?
say that you're reacting with missiles?" And they're like, "Blah blah blah." Like, no, that's not at all what I said. Like, what I said is we should all live together in harmony. I don't know what you heard, but that's not what I said. There's room for all of us here. Or like I know it's simplistic, but it just feels like if you're at war because you believe what your God says is right and their God says is wrong, there's no chance for peace. It's never going to happen because your God is right and your God is wrong. But like, take the time to say, wait, what is your God actually saying? Like, boil it all down, and it's all about love. Like, be a good person, do good things, and love one another. Is there a religion on earth that doesn't boil down to that?
Right. And isn't it strange how, in the name of religion, in the name of God, people will go into war? Some of the language in the Bible is like a little bit like the angry and wrathful God. There's things like that in there. But it's interesting because most religions are monotheistic, right? There's like one God. So if there's only one God, that means it's everybody's God. If you really believe in one God, then that's the God of all those other people too. It's not just your God. If there really is only one God, it's everybody's God. Again,
Hmm.
simplistic.
Right.
But one time this is a little off topic, but I just have to say it. Like I had this realization around burning in hell. Like so many people are afraid of burning in hell and having to do like lifetime like labor shoveling coal in hell. If you don't have a body, if you're dead, you don't have a body. That means you cannot burn and you cannot shovel and you cannot do work. Like your body is gone. You're dead. Like your spirit will be fine if it's really burning hot. Your spirit can live inside the sun. So
Interesting.
I just thought that was like a little like I like broke code somewhere.
Interesting. So don't fear hell because it's not that bad.
It's only bad if you're a human in a body. And if you're a human in a body, you're not in hell.
That's
So
funny.
don't worry about it. Except for if you're living in Palestine, you're in hell.
Right. I was
That's
going to
hell
say,
on earth.
in my understanding of Judaism, is there is no heaven and hell. It's all here on earth. Like, this is it. It's either your heaven or your hell. What's happening right now
Right, right.
in
Yeah.
this human body, in this human form. Yeah, and it is hell over there right now.
Yeah. And is any of us contributing to creating more hell instead of more heaven right here on
Right.
earth?
Right.
Anyone? Why would we choose world leaders who are going to create more hell on earth than more heaven? Planet heaven.
Right.
We have this incredible, incredible home that's comfortable. Our bodies can handle this temperature. We have rainbows and rivers and trees that grow fruit that's delicious. We have community. We have so many things that we've built on this planet that are so amazing. Like, why would we not, as a race, a human race, choose to maximize what we have here, maximize our resources? Why would we not choose to take care of every single human on the planet, which we completely can do with the
We
resources
have
we have?
all the resources right now to take care of every single human on the planet. And why are we choosing not to? That's a huge question.
Yeah.
And we're doing something horribly wrong.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like a call like a billionaire's step down kind of call. Like I just feel like, if you just take the billionaires in the world and spread that money around, then the problem is solved. They could be millionaires. I think they'd be okay. Millionaires, that's pretty good.
Mhm.
Millionaire is pretty good. Do you have to be a billionaire? Do you need $1 billion?
Right. Unless you're taking that billion and taking care of other people with it.
Which a lot of people do. Well, some people do. I would like to know that figure, like what percentage of billionaires are actually philanthropists?
Hmm. Yeah.
I also want to say, like, just back to this whole, like, we have a problem with our power and like putting one person on the top. Like, I think it's never going to happen. Okay, I'm knock on wood, whatever. Never, never is not never. But why don't we have like a council of elders or a council of elders and children? you know, who they're the wise ones. Adults are all messed up. Adults are all messed up. We are, we don't know what we're doing as adults. We are
That's
not
funny.
not responsible with
Right.
power. But
So the
elders,
elders have the wisdom and the children have the openness, the positivity. They're not yet dumped
Heart,
on, right? Yeah, and the
the
creativity.
heart. Yeah. So that would be my call. If I could take a pen and say, humanity, do this, it would be take care of every human, elders and children are in power. A council, a council
Right,
of
right,
elders and
right.
children, a diverse council.
Mm,
If each country had like, representation from all of its, you know, mini cultures that live, races and ethnicities within that culture, and bring them together,
mm,
and that integrity is what rises up, those who hold integrity, those who don't seek out power are the ones who should be in power.
yeah, yep,
Don't seek it out. They should be lifted up by the people, chosen by their communities as the one who they can trust, not somebody who has zillions of dollars to campaign. It's the wrong person, it's the wrong system.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I want to tell this little story that gave me a little bit of hope, which was about Israel Palestine. And the hostages were taken, and there was this one story about this grandmother and her husband, grandfather, and the grandfather was killed by Hamas in this hostage situation, and the grandmother was eventually released after several weeks or whatever being kept. And on her way out, she could have just walked back to her people, to her family, but instead she stopped to touch to hold the hand and look in the eyes of each of the Hamas, her prisoners, and thank them and touch them and she took a moment with each one of them on the way out. I just want to be her. I want her to be the elder, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so beautiful. It's just so moving to see that, to see her like transcend. You killed my husband. You scared the living daylights out of me. You killed children. And I'm gonna spend a moment here with you. That's that thing of disarming,
yeah,
right? Opening her heart to them, even in the worst situation.
yeah. We need more stories like that.
Yes, yes, more stories like that.
That's the news. That's the news that I will read.
Yes, yes. Thank God I saw it on TV.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. I do want to send a message out to all the Jewish people, just whoever happens to be listening, obviously, but just it's a complicated time, and it's hard, and it's uncomfortable, and for some people, way more than me. I mean, I don't feel afraid for my life, knock on wood. But, if I were a member of a temple, or living in a Jewish community, I think I would feel much more unsafe. And I just really feel for people who are scared now. And we obviously have a history of being persecuted, and other people do too. It's not just us, but right now, we're seeing it rise up in the news,
yeah,
and like,
and
yes,
also Palestinian. Like not just Jewish, not just American Jews, but not just America, but
yes,
it's not just Jews, obviously. Like I don't I want to reach out to all people who
yeah,
feel afraid because of something that some person in power is doing someplace
right.
to, that if anyone's living in fear based on somebody's policy somewhere, like I just want to hold you.
Oh yeah. I mean, this goes really far then, just like all the black people in America, all the Native Americans, all indigenous people, I mean, just like it's just crazy the power systems that exist that keep us separate instead of together, and that put people
Right.
down instead of equals. it's just so much pain there. There's so much pain there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, thank you, Jess. Of course. I mean, we were talking, this is something I wanted to say is that, like, as Jews, Jess and I have talked about, like, we don't want to be equated with Israel because, you know, to me, Israel is a warring country. It's a militant military country. Every single person goes into the military. I would never want to live there for that reason. I don't want to be a militant person, a military person. Like, I want to live in a land of peace. And so I'm Jewish and I have roots in Israel, and I don't want to be equated with Israel. I don't want to be, just because I'm Jewish doesn't mean I'm on the side of Israel,
Right.
I don't want to be on either side, I want to be right in the middle with my
Right.
heart wide open. Maybe that's a global movement that we
Absolutely.
could all just go stand right on the line somewhere, wherever the line is between Israel and Palestine, just like stand right there.
Yeah. Don't start recording yet. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
So, a woman I know, not very well, she said she heard on the news Michael Moore was calling out, if you know anybody Jewish, tell them that you support them right now. So she came to me and she said, I know, you're Jewish. I know you. She said, I just want you to
I
know
know one.
that I know one, that I completely support you and Israel. I was
Oh.
like,
Hmm.
thank you. You could have just stopped at you support me. But when she said, and Israel, I was like, I just don't want to be part of the side, right?
Like,
It's not me. I'm not part of Israel.
right? Or I totally support you and Israel and Palestine.
Right. Or
Right,
just the message was tell your Jewish friends that you support them.
right, right, right.
That was the message. And it was interesting. My reaction was, oh, I'm not Israel.
Right, like that person probably heard it like tell your Jewish friends that you support Israel in a
Right.
certain way.
Exactly.
Because you're
Exactly.
Jewish, you're connected to Israel, so I support you and Israel.
And right. Yeah. And it
Weird,
just feels
huh?
like that,
Just weird.
like that's sides again, like zoom out into outer space. You got one planet.
Right, zoom out, people.
We got one planet and we're
Yeah.
not sharing, like that's the problem.
I mean, it's just crazy that we draw lines on the planet, that we create maps and we create divisions, and like you can live here but not here. I get to say, because I drew a line on a map because I had some money, that you have to stay here and you can't live here unless you give me a bunch of money or like whatever. Like, what have we done to this planet, like, and to ourselves? Is it a good idea to have so many lines on maps? To have so many maps? To have different countries? Like, is that a good idea?
No.
Why did we do that? So we could war against each other. Homo barbarus, right?
Oh, makes my head hurt.
So
Okay,
we
we
could
got to go back.
utter.
We have to go back to how we can make a difference and not feel like we want to hide underneath the bed now. Like this is where I go. It's like, okay, I've hit my limit of talking about
Yeah.
war because now my head hurts.
Right,
Like
right,
go
right. We
back
cycled
to
back.
acts of kindness.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
like another example for me and how I'm handling this is the other day I went out to eat and I had a leftover box of food I didn't eat. And I stepped out. There was a homeless woman there. I said, "Are you hungry? Would you like some dinner?" And she said, "You got a fork?" I was like, "Hang on, let me get you." And then it was just a sweet interaction and we laughed and, she said, God bless or whatever. And like, just that little act of kindness. Or like I went to a donation place and I gathered a bunch of warm coats and I put them in my trunk and driving around town at night, if somebody looks cold, hey, you want a coat? Like it doesn't take much.
Yeah, well, that's a lot, Jess. You do a lot. I just have to say that. You do a lot. You put your conscious effort and your time and your resources into consciously helping people. You're not just out there being nice like me. I'm just nice to everyone. That's how I
Which
handle
is
it.
great too, waving at people when they cut you off, that's a game changer too. But like
Yeah.
like that thing, like think about like what if we all just thought just a little bit, like Like, what can I do to make a difference? What can I do to spread a little kindness? And how can that pay forward? Like, that's the only thing that I feel like I have control over.
And I mean, and also like it sounds ridiculous, but I don't think anybody would be in an outer war if they weren't in an inner war. So
Mm.
if we can resolve our inner conflicts, which we all have because we have Homo spiritualis and Homo barbarus, if we could just resolve that in ourselves, if we could accept the fact that, okay, I'm a little bit violent, or whatever it is, like wherever we're against ourselves, if we could just look at it, if we could just take some of this, like this facilitation inside, I feel like that's the best we can do, and then bring that out a notch to our relationships, and
Yeah.
maybe we can bring it out to our community or wherever. But I think forgiving ourselves, forgiving ourselves for whatever we've done, whatever shame and guilt, because I think a lot of this has roots, like you were saying before, in religious power. I think you said that, yeah, in
Hmm.
religious power. And like there's like this kind of like weird, insidious religious something that's crept into the collective unconscious that makes us feel bad about ourselves, our natures. It's a rare person who actually has healthy self-esteem, not narcissism, not all the way over to
Hmm.
the side of like I'm the best and you guys all suck, and not like total like overly humble martyrism, it's just
Hmm.
like I'll give it all away, I'm the worst. So they're like healthy self-esteem, if we could all work to just love ourselves and build healthy self-esteem, I feel like that's a really big radical act that does change the world, because people, kids, everybody needs more examples of people who have healthy self-esteem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think that that's why I'm popular on social media, is because I do. I love myself. I just told my client before this, I was like, I do. I think I'm great. I do. I do. I broke the code. Like thinking that you're like a great person and like loving yourself. Not that I don't have my little problems and stuff. Of course I do. But on balance, I'm like, I think I'm a rare person who actually feels good about myself.
Hmm.
And if more people felt good about themselves, it would just be more of those kind of rays of light in the world. So start inside,
I
start.
love myself.
I
I
know,
feel like
I'm not comparing myself to you, Jess. I know
no,
you
it's
do.
interesting to think like I feel like I've worked a lot on getting to this place where I feel like I am that light. Like I watched other, I remember growing up, like my best friend was always the light. They walk into the room and the light changes and the room changes because they walk in the room. I was like, I can be that.
Yes,
I want to be
every
that.
room has room for multiple lights. There's
Hmm.
is not just one Christmas tree in the building, like in the Jewish building, in the Jewish temple. Everybody's a Christmas tree. Yeah.
Right, there are 8 candles on the menorah. That's a lot of light.
Yes, yes. And like more is more, and we're
Yeah,
just in this
exactly.
mentality that like one person shines. That's that power
No, we
structure thing again.
lift each other
One
up.
person shines. No, we all shine.
We
That's the
shine on
only
each
way that
other.
it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Radical acts of kindness to yourself and radical acts of kindness in your community.
Yeah.
Close, like the community that you have an impact on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. We figured it out. We broke the code
Receive love. Learn to receive love.
and disarm.
Practice. Be disarmed. Yeah. Practice with your animals. Animals are so great to practice receiving and
Mm-hmm.
giving love, because they're just like completely open
Yeah.
to giving and receiving love. That's a
Yeah.
great place to practice.
Yeah. All
Ah,
right. Nice
we did
job.
it.
Yay.
Whew.
Thanks for sticking with us on this one. And please leave comments, like
Yeah.
leave comments. Let us know how you feel. Let us know if there's, places where you agree or disagree, or how would you solve the war? What do you do to make yourself feel better? How do you wake up in the morning and make the world a better place? Let us know, please. Let's
Yeah.
inspire one another. Let's be that good news. Be the
Yes.
good news.
Share the good news.
Hmm.
Spread the
Yeah.
good news. Be the good news. Spread the good news.
Big love hug, baby.
Big love hug, baby.
Until
That's
next
it,
time.
everybody. Yep. Until next time. Sayonara. Hasta la
Adios.
vista. See you later. Sobaher.
Ooh, what's over here?
Awesome. Sobaher means like good day in Farsi.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Sobaher is good night. So Sobaher is a good day.
Over here. Shabbat here.
Yeah.
Shalom.
Shalom. Aloha.
All right. Love you so much.
Love you so much.
Love you all. Bye.
Woo.